Okay, so what is malabsorption? Malabsorption is when the body is not able to absorb the nutrients and, well, it's able to absorb it, but only using it for fuel for the day. It's not actually keeping it on reserves. What do you mean by keeping it on reserves? It means that when you are able to strengthen your weaknesses, okay, and you don't have any pain or any symptoms, and you're pretty strong, that is where you're able to absorb the nutrient, the food supply. But what happens is when you are continuously getting sick and you have some kind of diagnosis, that's basically malabsorption. Because malabsorption is the body only utilizing the fuel for that day, but you're not upgrading your body. So when you allow those weaknesses to then become bigger weaknesses and bigger weaknesses, the body goes into biochemical triage. What that means is that your vital organs are going to be the priority, which means that's going to steal reserves from your hair, your skin, your nails, from all the other systems. And this is why you guys are experiencing the progressive degradation of your body, because you're not upgrading your device. When you upgrade your device, you're able to be able to adapt to your environment. So you can walk into any type of environment and it could be chaotic, it could be relatively benign, and your body will be able to adapt to it. You have enough reserves to go and fix the upset of homeostasis. So let's say you walk into a house where the kids are all sick and you get then sick, you feel symptoms. That means you have a weak body. You just sustained a weakness that now the body has to go and steal reserves to go and help you adapt to that weakness. But you still haven't strengthened that weakness, but it will help you adapt. But guess what? You're not filling your reserves. So whatever the body is taking to make sure that your heart and your lungs and your liver and your kidneys are going, you have just lost. You have mineral depletion. So that's when you see people's hair going bald, you're seeing graying, you're seeing skin becoming thin and papery, and you're losing collagen, or you're gaining and losing weight. You're seeing imbalances in a person, eyesight's going, hearing's going. When you're seeing your body degrade, it means that you're not replenishing your reserves, you're not upgrading your device. And so this is why people die, because they have malabsorption from leaky gut. They haven't fixed those weaknesses, so they're only able to derive some kind of benefit from the current food supply, but then their food supply is becoming more discriminatory because they can't eat certain foods. They can't eat processed foods. They can't eat nightshades. They can't eat donuts. They can't eat anything, or they can eat only very few things because they have such discrepancies in their 11 different systems. And there really isn't true cross-functional communication because the person is compartmentalizing their body. So when they're taking remedies for specific issues, they're not realizing that the body works as a whole. And so when you're taking, let's say, magnesium, or let's say you're taking all these different supplements, well, you may deal with that symptom right then and there, but then what happens is that there's other systems that are being affected. And so those systems are being weakened. Plus your system is already being weakened by taking in those supplements and those pills, powders, and detoxes and whatever. And the body goes and still reserves. Where do they get those minerals, those reserves? From your hair, from your skin, from your nails, from your muscles, from any system that you find is breaking down. So those of you who are dealing with weaknesses in your body, you have malabsorption. You're not able to negotiate the food supply correctly. Yeah, you're living, because guess what? The body is still in reserves to keep your heart going. Have you ever heard of somebody with ALS where their muscle function and their nerve function have basically gone to shit, and they're very aware of everything, but they cannot move a muscle? That's some pretty extreme side of the body depleting reserves in those 11 and those one of 11 different systems. When you have absolutely no muscle function, you can't even move, but you're so aware, your brain's going, your heart's going, but your muscular system is shut down. Those are the diseases that people will trigger because they already came into this world at a deficit. And then, of course, all the different viruses that they'll never, ever be not exposed to. You'll always be exposed to viruses. You get a certain conglomeration of viruses and bacteria and parasites, which are not necessarily bad on a strong body, but on a weak body, they'll trigger exotic symptoms. And so now you have a symptom, you're diagnosed with a symptom, and now you're going to treat that disease. It's going to cause more weakness, cause more biochemical triage. The body is going to go and steal resources from all the different other 11 different systems to make sure your heart and your lungs are going. And this is why you're seeing the progressive decay in humanity. And it's because you're not keeping the balance of the lactic acid, of the micro and macronutrition, of the electrolytes, trace minerals. You have a either highly acidic environment where you have all this acid from either too much sugar and too much carbs, but you need it, but you only need a little bit. And then also you're living the whole alkaline lifestyle. Oh, I'm going to drink lemon water every freaking day, or I'm going to do the apple cider vinegar, or I'm going to live this alkaline lifestyle. And that also causes imbalances when you're living an alkaline lifestyle. So it's the balance in between. So malabsorption basically is you're not upgrading your device. When you have a phone, okay, and your phone is glitching because you're not doing the constant updates, you're not part of the internet, and you just have a phone that just sits there, and then now you want to have an application. Well, you have to be connected to the internet, an environment that then will bring in the necessary updates to update your phone so it can handle the new programming, the new applications that you want to use, your new games, okay? And this is what you guys do, but you guys walk into different environments with a very archaic device. When you're getting old and you're decaying, you have an archaic device trying to negotiate an environment that has new information. You will not be able to handle it. You will not be able to handle it. And this is why people die of strokes, die of heart attacks. That's why you see people who are chemotherapy patients who are aging rapidly because the body is stealing resources to keep them alive during that process, during the chemotherapy and the cannabis. It's not just the chemotherapy, it's also cannabis people die from. Okay? And so you got to realize this. So anything that you're doing right now to manage your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, injuries, and weaknesses, it's depleting your mineral reserves unless you bring in the necessary formula that you will then have to figure out the pain. Okay? And the pain means the body is finally getting the minerals, and it's bringing in minerals. It's releasing hormones, so you know that it's going to work on you to not stop the process. And it's letting you know that there's a weakness. You have to fulfill your reserves. And if you're not going to fulfill your reserves, guess what? Your reserves are going to then only last so long. And then who's to say that you're going to survive the stroke? Let's say you come in with already heart issues. Let's say you come into this world already with brain issues, with lung issues, with liver issues. And then you're experiencing strokes. Okay? But you survived them all. But who's to say as you get older that you're going to survive the next stroke? Because basically, if you're depleting your reserves and you're seeing your hair falling out, and your hair going gray, and you have stroke issues, you're on constant medication, there is no telling if you're not doing something like J-Juice to bring in the minerals, the proper minerals in a chemical process. Who's to say you're going to survive it? The reason why Jelly Juice is most profound is because it has the right balance of minerals and the right balance of lactic acid, the right balance of electrolytes, the right balance of micro and macronutrition, the right balance of water to balance out your body, to bring in the reserves as well as bring in the and negotiate the minerals that are in the juice to fix your weaknesses. And then once you fix your weaknesses, now you have a bunch on reserve. So if you walk into an environment, once you're 100% well, you're not going to succumb to symptoms, because symptoms is letting you know that you're on your reserves. Every single symptom you ever experience tells you that you're on reserve. You have 60 miles or 60 years or less relative to how fast you're driving your car. Because, have you ever been like driving across country like I have, where there's 60 miles in between each gas station, and I'm down to E, and I now am on reserve, and it's 20 miles next or 60 miles next to the next gas station, and I'm like, okay, I better drive this car very, very carefully. Don't be revving the engine too much because I'll be running out of gas before I get to that gas station. That's exactly what goes on when you guys are experiencing symptoms. You may have 60 miles or 60 years before you actually deplete your reserves. But if you keep revving that engine, you're running and doing all this activity and drinking and smoking and doing all this stuff, you're going to deplete your resources, your gas, faster than a person who is maybe a bit more slow in their lifestyle. But they're not doing the J-Juice, but they're a bit more slow. So yeah, they may prolong their life a little bit, but they're still depleting their reserves because they're not bringing in the right elements, and they're slowly decaying, and they have malabsorption. So then whatever food they're eating is going to give them a very superficial, fuel, but then the body's going to keep stealing resources, and that is the aging process. Malabsorption contributes to the aging process because you're not upgrading your device correctly and understanding why pain exists. And then you're going into the J juice trying to manage your symptoms. And you're wondering why it is that my symptoms are now more exacerbated than they were, because you're finally freaking healing. You spent your whole life trying to stop the pain. And now J juice brings it up, brings it to surface, brings everything that you've ever tried to run away from to surface. And if you're too weak to deal with it, then you're not strong enough for the J juice. We don't need you on the J juice. But if you're strong enough for the J juice, man, you're going to see a whole different outcome, whole different outlook. So, you guys understand malabsorption, leaky gut. You're basically working on a very archaic device, and you're not going to fix your device. It's like being unplugged from the internet, trying to utilize a device. And you want to be part of the crowd, but like people's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to watch TV anymore. Oh, I'm not going to be on the internet. Or I'm going to get off of Facebook and go to MeWe. Yeah, you means that you have a very weak device. You can't even handle your current environment. You can't handle the changes with Facebook. You can't adapt. Anyone that says that Facebook is censorship and Facebook is this and Facebook is that, and they have to get off the internet and get off of TV and get off of this, you cannot handle your environment. You're freaking weak. And I don't need any of those in my world saying, oh yeah, stay off Facebook or stay off of this or do that. No. A strong person can handle all modes of communication, knows how to block from really bad communication, which is basically putting your boundaries down, and knows how to negotiate and adapt to the ever-changing world, the universe, because it's always going to change. And if you can't adapt to the changes, you're not going to survive. You are not going to survive. And so you better learn how to absorb your nutrition, which is taking in the right formula, and that is J juice. Talk to you guys later. Bye.